I know this video is going to seem out of place, especially on my normal channel, but this is an idea I've been sitting on for a while and I wanted to share it. It's basically a game called Odesea, and it takes place on Odesea, which is going to be a future moon of Jupiter, if you couldn't tell by the title. So like it said, it's set on a future moon. So the reason for that is because by then the sun would be a red giant in 5 billion years. And with that, it makes it more hospitable near Jupiter and the moons. Along with that, I made the day cycle 40 hours, not in real time, obviously, but in the universe. And it also takes 40 days for a year. Now, something very important about the atmosphere, which I think will end up affecting pretty much everything on this moon and in the ocean, is the fact that there is citric acid vapor in the atmosphere. I think for anyone who's scientific and wants to know, it's about 8%, I think. So it will have an effect on things, and part of it is that it's very humid and very cloudy. Another interesting thing about pretty much the whole moon is that the Tesla is 99, which means it has a very high magnetic field and electromagnetic field. But it basically means that there's a lot of charge on that moon, and it will affect pretty much everything, and you'll see how it plays out if it goes the way I plan. But my favorite part of that is that there's continuous aurora borealises all the time in the sky, but they'll probably be mostly covered by clouds, but then again, them shining through the clouds would look pretty cool, so the sky is always going to look really cool. And then also the ocean, it's going to get progressively more dense the deeper you go down, even more than a normal ocean, to the point that there are going to be things that are going to basically have armor and have super weird looks out of water because of how much pressure there will be at the very bottom. Along with ocean vents and volcanic activity at the very bottom, it's going to be a very interesting, diverse ocean. Also, the very top of the ocean is going to be very acidic due to always touching that atmosphere that I explained earlier has the citric acid. So the life on the moon is also going to be pretty interesting because the plants have to evolve to absorb more red light. They're actually going to turn out to reflect different colors more often. I'm not sure which yet, I'll have to look into it, but it's going to develop them in a very different way than how they normally would. But also, everything on there is going to have to develop cells that are more resistant to the Tesla strength, and also things in the ocean are going to have more fortified cells and things that can handle more pressure than, here on Earth. Another thing is a lot of the islands are actually made out of coral or broken down coral instead of rock or things like that. There's rock under and in the ocean, but most of the islands are made out of coral or dead coral. Along with that, a lot of the plants on land are derived from the ocean, so a lot of them are going to be more variant of marine plants and middle evolutionary stages, as you can see in game. To circle back to the sky, the weather would have a lot of acid rain from time to time. The sky would be very yellow to orange to red due to the sun and the citric acid in the skies. Would be wind dynamics and not solar heating causing any of the cycles of the clouds. And sometimes the average wind speed could get up to hundreds of miles per hour. Turns out in my notes, it actually tells me what color the plants would be. They would actually mostly be black, crimson, and purple, or other deep saturated colors to absorb as much light as possible, which is actually going to make the planet look kind of consistent but also pop at the same time. Now I'm going to go over a couple different ideas I've come up with. First one for biomes, I'm having them in different sections depending on how deep in water or if they're above water. And for above water, the example I'm showing is going to be the coral islands, which are basically going to be islands that are made out of coral, like I explained. But they're going to be very obvious that they're made out of coral. They're going to be very plateauy, have a lot of cliff sides, a lot of vertical ones, and some of them are going to reach up pretty high into the clouds, and there's going to be coral caves in them and below them. The next layer is going to be from 0 meters to 2.6 kilometers in the ocean. I'm going to be choosing the higher reef, which is going to have some calm lagoons and atolls that connect it to islands, and also be shallow reef that also has a very deep edge drop on one side. and it's going to be a lot more colorful and a lot more what you think of when you think of a pretty ocean. The next one is 2.6 kilometers to 5.2 kilometers, and the one I'm choosing for that is Ocean's Mouth, and it's more of a creepy, more horror-y feeling one. The water is cloudy at this layer. There's a lot of shoals and crevices. There's ocean trenches too, but also some magneto pools for small magnetic springs, which is something I can explain in a different video. Next is 5.2 to 7.8 kilometers down, and it's the glowstone, which is basically a meteorite that fell and is very radioactive and has made it a very specific biome down there. There's a lot of vent chimney fractures, stream pressure with weird lighting and everything, and some abyssal plains near hydrothermal vents. Now 7.8 to 10.4 kilometers deep. Next is the vent forest, where it's a lot of hot vent chimneys or thermal silica participation. I can't say the word, but you know what I mean. And there's a lot of rocky seabed down there too. And it's very, very warm, and it's hard to weave through. So it's a lot of thinner, smaller, more resistant creatures and life forms down there. Now we have the very bottom, 10.4 to 13 kilometers down, with the only biome I plan to have down there, which is Hades Pot. Volcanic vents, cement layers or sediment layers you can see just going down closer to magma. There's more deep sea vent cracks and superheated hydrothermal vents covering the seafloor. It is exactly what it sounds like, a super hot magma heating pot at the bottom of the ocean. Now with some of the biomes out of the way, some of the ideas for the different kind of creatures range from microorganisms, fungi, plants, animals, and other materials that you're going to use. One of the other ones I want to think of is jelly octopuses, or octopus jellies, which are basically kind of like micro animals that attach to each other to form longer chains, so that way they stay together. And if they need to, they can, make it so that way there's less chance that one of them gets eaten compared to the many. It's kind of like what shrimp do. I probably explained that poorly, so let me do something more simple. A sword squid. A squid with basically 2 blades out of its 8 tentacles, along with ink sacs that can use to propel them, along with itself. That would be kind of badass. Or a cliff flat shark that actually uses electromagnetism vibrations. I did not word that the best. But it basically puts its head on the side of big coral and it feels for vibrations to figure out where prey is. Or flux floats, which have hydrogen in them and also float along a magnetic line around the atmosphere of the planet that they use to basically be magnetized to stay on a certain trajectory and path throughout their life. And if you're wondering if there's any story idea, yes there is. Humans used to live on Jupiter, and there's a big backstory to that. Some civilization moved to the current moon that you're on, and you find out more about them through the story and why they aren't there anymore, and why no one's ever heard of them. But speaking of that, I also need help with doing this. I'm just one person, and I do not have all the skills I would need to make a fully functioning game. Right now, I would accept any help from people just pitching ideas or anything like that, because I would not be able to pay you at the moment, sadly. But that is why I have the Patreon, for funding, so that way I can get people and pay them properly for the things if they end up doing that. But that's all up to all of you watching if you would like to help in any way, shape, or form, monetarily, or even with ideas or suggestions, or even leading me towards people who would be helpful. I appreciate all of it. And I'm going to leave it with that. I'm going to end up uploading update logs and dev vlogs whenever I can to talk about the game more. And I just want to say thank you for watching, and that the music you've been listening to is for the biome of Ocean Mouth, which is going to be 2 tracks that you've been hearing, because I don't want you to just get bored while being in the same environment. But enjoy the rest of it, and thank you again.